fighting here. There's the resolution. It's like,
This sucks.
it's weird. It's like you start reading it and then
This is all soft
it
white.
gets out.
Right, that's, I said I had to go up a level because of the, either get longer arms, you know, but,
That's why I asked for the bigger, longer sheets
Yeah.
than the ones like this. Too small for me.
Our live streaming.
Thank you.
yeah. How are you?
Wait for a couple more people and get started. I got 3:58. And I got 4 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Welcome to the Moratorium Monday meeting for, what's today's date? Thank you, appreciate it. April 22nd, 2024. These meetings were set up to work on the moratorium that we put into effect in January of this year and try to deal with the issue of the amount of people that are moving into the town of Lancaster and try to control it a little bit better. For those of you just turning in for the first time, we set up different committees and subcommittees to deal with all the different aspects that come into a moratorium. And what we've been doing in the last several meetings is going around to the subcommittees to ask them to do reports or see where they stand. At this point in time, today's committee meeting, Moratorium Monday, was asked to be about the zoning. We've had our subcommittees come in with some different potential land opportunities, and again, we got more people moving in here, even for the amount we have right now, but more potential residents coming in here. We're trying to identify some land. We did identify some different land in the area that might potentially be for sale, and the town engineer, myself, and who else is going to go out and walk this land tomorrow, starting tomorrow? Okay, Cindy? Okay, anybody else coming with us? All right.
We're gonna meet up there on Juniper.
Juniper?
Down just along the road.
What time?
8 o'clock, I believe.
8 o'clock? Okay, perfect. And so we're going to go out and look at the land that we've identified. Some other good ideas that we came across over the last several meetings all come down to, at this point, zoning. So the first thing I think we should do is go around again and then get more into the zoning and different changes that would have to be made in our current laws and or zoning to make certain things happen that we've identified as issues for the moratorium. So Cindy, I believe you have a PowerPoint. By the way, we have, I don't know if it's set up for the camera or not, but we have the town of Lancaster zoning map on here, and we'll go back to that after we go around and jump in there and how we can make changes and some recommendations. I know I got a couple of them, and I'm sure other people have some, so. It's set up to be on that? Okay, perfect.
So we didn't want to take up too much time. As Ed and you had said, we do have the 2 wetland then walkovers scheduled, to be Tuesday and Wednesday would be those days. We did have our other letters of interest answered to us. The only one that did not come back with a response, we have found another address to identify and try to contact that property owner, so we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
When it came to town codes that our committee had talked about that needed updating, we dealt with stormwater control, site plan review, and subdivision. And basically, we looked at map changes or zoning changes. We looked at possible expansion of the overlay for access management when it came to residential subdivisions. Reasoning for that is because we are looking to connect our communities, our neighborhoods to each other. So to do so with an overlay of an access management makes sense. There are 3 rezones that are possible. One of them we have currently upstate Niagara Cooperative in front of the planning board. They are non-conforming use, so they could possibly be a candidate for a rezone so that they were properly zoned. Second one,
What are they zoned right now, if you don't?
AR.
It is agricultural? Okay.
So we would take them to their proper zoning.
Okay.
5389 Genesee Street is where the property owner has reached out to the town board to rezone their property, so that was on our radar. And then also there's a parcel that is residential and is on Harris Hill along the thruway, and that is potential for possibly some multi-use, multi-family. So those would be 3 possible zoning changes. Other than that, when we go back to our 2018 comp plan, the comp plan identified 2 hamlets within the township. One is Bowmansville, the other one is Town Line. Both of those areas had special considerations that they wanted the town to look into. One of them is the historic significance. So possibly a ERPOD or another overlay. A 5th one could be identified for historical. Other than that, the ERPODs that we currently have in place, I think maybe some of us need a better understanding of how to use them best when planning is being done, when projects are coming in. I see several of our county responses telling the planning board, making responses to those ERPODs or to those areas that are mostly wetland or floodplain or some type of water management.
Yeah, or we said there's going to be protected area, and yet they're coming in like the commercial building that wants to go up on Town Line Road. So I think we got to be more aware of those when they come in.
So that's just very quickly what we've been working on, but we definitely wanted to give the time today to the other committees to make sure that we could hear where they were at with the zoning and the codes.
Okay. Ed?
Just real quick, Water Authority got back, they were just waiting for some weather improvement. They're going to be doing, deploying pressure loggers, meters, both at the Stutzman area and the pavement, pavement Broadway area. They said working on the overall scope. They expect to have some answers in a couple of months
Okay.
on the pressure issues. So,
Okay, on the pressure issues. Okay. They going to give us another pump?
I have no idea. It depends what their model tells them. And then as far as traffic, I did end up, Matt and I looked at this, it's a brief scope of services. We take one, pass it around. I kept it brief on purpose because I didn't want to dictate to whoever we hire the means and methods to do their study. So what I've outlined more is what the objective of the study is. When they submit their qualifications, let them submit their approach of how they plan to solve that. The rest of the stuff that'll go along with it is all the boiler stuff for qualifications, resumes, project descriptions, and all that kind of stuff.
So what do you need from us on this? A resolution to go ahead and,
Well, I was kind of throttling back a little bit because this is now going to be bonded, so I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
it's not on the bond list?
It's not on
At
the
this-
bond.
No, we'll pay for it separately.
Okay, well then that's fine, then I can move ahead. I was kind of holding back because any money spent before the resolution, you can't get back.
Yeah.
But if that's not gonna be the case, then we can move forward.
Okay.
So, yeah, it would be, yeah, if you want to pass a resolution to seek qualifications for consultants, that would be the resolution, basically.
Great.
I'll put together a complete package then for the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
You could send it over to Tom's office?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
The other thing I put together, kind of related, but partly from the moratorium, partly from just the discussions we've been having.
All the exercise.
The discussions we've been having in general about speed limits and speed tables and so on and so forth. I put together a draft policy for something for the board to consider, whether they want to adopt something like this. Just anytime there's a request, there's a procedure that the town would go through just to make sure that i's are dotted and t's are crossed, and it's just not, here and there. So look it over. If it's something the board likes or wants tweaked, we can make changes, and if it looks good, it's something the board can adopt to move forward.
Very good. Anything else?
That's it.
Tom, what do you got for us?
Not a whole lot, sir. We had a couple meetings in the last maybe 3 weeks. Spent some time, was it yesterday, the day before? Friday. Going over both the zoning map and what probably should be done before we attack the zoning map or make changes to the zoning map. And I think that Matt could probably expand on this and probably say it better. It sounds to me like our best, and this was Matt's idea, I can't take credit for it, is to tackle what revisions we want to make to the comprehensive plan first, and then tailor our zoning map to those needs, wants, and wishes. Our responsibilities to the residents and to the both commercial and residential residents of the town. So I don't know that we'll be doing a whole lot more looking at the zoning map until after we've had an opportunity to see what, if any, revisions the board as a whole wants to see in a comprehensive plan. And I know Matt had an interest in seeing if we couldn't get a professional planner into the mix. Who was the woman that we used last time?
We had a consultant this time around, it was Wendy Salvati, that helped us walk through making revisions to the zoning map and the zoning code based on the recommendations from that comp plan. In the comp plan itself, all that data and information and updates were derived from information that I think it was Wendell that received through the public workshops, surveys, comments provided to the town by the residents.
Are you going to get a cost on that and a estimate on doing that?
No, I'm just making that recommendation. Bob, I'd have to stop what I do during the day to focus on that.
You're busy as the code enforcement officer?
Tremendous.
Okay.
It's tremendous.
Yeah, all right, so we're going to have to look at that. Your recommendation, though, is to reach out and get somebody to come in here and help us out.
It knows the process very well. So one, amend our existing comprehensive plan to include all of the information that the residents want to make changes. And then incorporate that in the plan. That'll give us direction on how to amend the zoning if it's necessary, or amend the zoning map if that's necessary.
Okay. All right, let me ask you some dumb questions.
So I
Go
can reach out
ahead.
to Wendy if you want. I talk to her monthly anyways, probably.
Board, do we want that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Yes,
remember.
please.
I mean, just, if she
I
knows the
remember
plan,
Wendy.
She'll know what needs. She'll
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah,
get it.
sure.
Get us the cost, the process, how long?
I remember Wendy, she was quite helpful. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, a couple of dumb questions while we're right here, and I can ask Matt. Okay, our agricultural residential districts. Okay, how hard is it to take out section H, single-family detached dwelling units in sewered areas, our district provisions shall apply, okay? Attached or built-in garages shall be deemed part of the principal structure except for minimum livable floor area requirements. My point being is, we just want to be agricultural area and take that section out. That's the only section in there that refers to any type of housing in there. Is that something, you know?
I fully believe the cleanest way to do that is to identify the agricultural residential districts that are within the Erie County District 4 Sewer District, and convert those to an R district. We have areas of town, as you can see throughout the map there, that are within that sewer district that are still of the agricultural residential zoning that allows whatever permitted uses that are allowed. So it's not only single family detached, but all of the other uses. And I'm of the opinion, our 368 Pleasant View Drive was originally built as one of the permitted uses in the AR district, and then it changed ownership. The occupancy changed, it became existing non-conforming, and the whole non-conforming portion of our code is meant to bring these properties back into conformance with their zoning districts. So I don't know if it's that big of a discrepancy to have AR zoning district in a sewer district utilizing the residential district standards. It was a provision that allowed development within the sewer district of our agricultural residential zoning districts. What we failed to do at the time is when we approved subdivisions and approved development, we failed to convert those areas to a residential district. That should be automatic.
Okay. And then if we do that, we get rid of that, and then we're protecting all the green space outside of the water district itself, and that remains agricultural, and then it would take some type of a zoning change to put a development in there. Would that be
It would, but we
correct?
also have to be mindful that single-family detached dwellings are a permitted use in the residential district. We're just not utilizing the residential design standards, meaning side yard setback, front yard setback requirements. So in a sewer district, you can maintain 35 feet, but if you're outside of the sewer district, you need 50 feet in front yard setback. Side yard setbacks, 5 feet in the residential, 15 feet in agricultural residential. Those are the only differences. So, you know, we can, one, look at the map as it is and identify those residential occupancies in the AR district within the sewer district. We can convert those wholesale. But any future development that happens in those agricultural areas, it all depends on how it's going to be developed. Are we going to utilize it as a veterinary clinic or a single-family dwelling that happens to tie into a public sewer?
Yeah, but I'm talking about outside of the water district, the areas that are AR right now, outside of that water district, okay, to protect them, to keep them agricultural without having the possibility, well, I guess we wouldn't have it anyways because there's no sewer district out there, so they couldn't build in there, so we don't have to do that.
Follow the code.
Okay.
They'd be all 5 acre lots.
What's that?
They'd all be 5 acre lots if they wanted to do anything
Right.
because of the sewer
Right.
requirement, septic
It's
requirements.
vital
Right.
that we enforce the code as it's written.
Okay, very good. Multifamily residential mixed use, MFMU. Same kind of questions on here. What is the definition of multifamily housing? Because again, it seems like we're trying to set these things up so we have some retail businesses in there and some apartments up above it, but we also allow for multifamily housing, which turns into a 50-unit apartment complex at Broadway and Pavement.
Okay, that probably should have been a 40-something unit project. Again, we have to enforce our code as it's written.
Okay.
The density requirements are pretty clear. For the amount of land area that you're developing, you're only allowed a certain amount of dwelling units. And when a developer wants more than what's requested, they apply for variance, they're granted variance, now it's as of right.
And they got it. Two, and then the other thing in there is also single-family detached dwelling units again. Our district provisions shall apply, attached or built-in garages shall be deemed part of the principal structure, except for minimal livable floor area requirements. Now, is this, our district provisions means it's also, it's got to be within the water district, is that correct? But why are we allowing single-family detached dwelling units as part of this zoning designation when that's not what it was set up for. It doesn't appear to be, that's what it was set up for.
Because it's meant to be a part of the residential districts, single-family residential detached is a lower intensity use of all of those all categorized. So if we look at the intent of what the MFMU district is, one, we're going to provide areas within the town for the development of attached, detached dwelling units at higher densities where the public sewers are available. That's key. Second, we're going to encourage the development that exhibits the physical design characteristics of pedestrian-oriented storefront-style shopping streets by allowing certain neighborhoods serving retail services and other uses. Third, we're going to encourage mixed-use development. And then, of course, fourth is to promote the health and well-being of the residents by encouraging physical activity, alternative to transportation, and greater social interaction. That's the purpose of the multifamily mixed-use districts.
Okay.
And again, it's one of the 3 residential districts that we have available in the town for residential development. Prior to this, we were in the multifamily 3, 4, 5, and it wasn't really clearly defined, how you can utilize those spaces, the density of those areas. This allowed for a place to put the 2-family attached dwelling units, as well as the patios, the townhouses, and of course the mixed-use developments. Again, there are higher densities within the sewer district.
Okay, and again, multifamily housing, the amount of apartments that we put into a particular area, where is that found in the
That's in Schedule B.
Schedule B? Okay.
B, right. Those are all of your design standards. And the density is based on the amount of square footage of area of land.
Okay. So what are we going to do with these multifamily residential mixed-use district? If you look on these maps here, I mean, there's huge swaths of land that are designated as that, again, which would open them up to, especially if they got another zoning variance, just, dozens and dozens and dozens of apartments going in there.
These are primarily focused, 1, in the sewer district, 2, on the state highways, and 3, on the western side of the town where the higher density development is promoted.
Okay. But again, in some cases, it would seem like we need to knock those down a bit, so we have allow for that retail stores in there, allow for some, apartments up above it, whatever, and then do something with the rest of it, in my opinion, and not leave it open to potential, large-scale apartment complexes going in there.
Perhaps if you wanted to limit that in those districts, you can, increase the land area per dwelling unit to reduce the amount of dwelling units
Under Schedule B?
under Schedule B.
Okay.
And I think that may have been recommended in March, early March. I sent copies of Schedule B where some amendments could be made.
Yep.
And some corrections actually that were never brought in wholesale when we adopted the initial code in 2020.
All right, and we do not have, we just have the overlay district. The only one that we have is access overlay district, correct?
Access management overlay
Access
was
management.
specifically meant for your state highways to promote interconnectivity between commercial properties, to eliminate the number of driveways on the state highways. I heard it alluded to earlier to bring that into the subdivision requirements, but within the subdivision regulations, the town code does mandate that it does require interconnectivity between neighborhoods. So there should be some form of street pedestrian connection as the rest of the town begins to be developed.
Okay. Again, it would be up to a developer to ask for a planned unit development incentive?
It would be.
Okay.
And it would be up to the town to put that overlay district, more or less of a rezone, only in those residential areas where it sees fit. Okay, just because the developer asks for a PUD in an area where they want to, shoehorn the townhouses into one area of a parcel, it doesn't mean you have to acquiesce to that. There's density requirements. There's, if you were to develop a parcel of land for single-family houses and you're only allowed 25 units, but we want to introduce a PUD that is asking for 50 units, you can't possibly approve that. You're only allotted that 25 units in a certain part of that parcel. The rest of it should be deemed as either recreational space, conservation space, environmentally sensitive areas, wetland, whatever it is, whatever the case may be.
Okay. And the access management overlay district, and just for my clarification, again, you go to the William Street development, that was part of the overlay district. What they did on William Street, are they only going to have one access in there based on what the rules are, or are they going to have more than that?
Well, by subdividing that land, you're taking that portion of that tax parcel out of that access management overlay district, because again, we're not forcing cross-access agreements between commercial properties on a state highway. This was the southern half of a parcel that spanned from Broadway to William that was, the entire lot was overlaid with access management. By subdividing that, we've created a residential district portion of that land. The northern part of that property where the golf course is now remains agricultural residential, but the portion, because it has connectivity to Broadway, the overlay district applies to that portion of land. Should there be development, there needs to be some kind of connectivity to the adjoining parcels to limit the amount of access out onto Broadway Street. Now, there's a representative from the Department of Transportation that would like to have that conversation with both the town board and the planning board to have that discussion, because they want to partner with us on how to manage these projects as they come through.
Sounds good to me. What do we have to do to get that person in here?
Just coordinate a presentation either at the town board level or at the planning board level, and they'd be happy to come in and have those conversations.
Okay, thank you. Carlo, what do you got?
I got nothing.
Jill, anything today?
Yeah, Bob, the only other overlay district that exists is for the mines.
Aggregates?
Yeah.
Mark, anything?
I did speak with Adam about EMS fire and calls. With the moratorium, it really, if we have 100 homes that come in, there's 100 potential, more calls that can come in. But there isn't really, there's no way to get around the calls that come in for first aid. I want to get off my couch to go to the bathroom. The moratorium and what we're looking for really isn't going to change that. It's pretty much the same. I talked to Chief as well. Yes, over the time span of us growing, have we increased in numbers of calls? Yes. But could you say it's directly related in the expansion? Because we have X amount of calls that we get, but then you have your other calls from people coming in and other issues. So there's really not a huge correlation between the two, per se. It's expanded like it should over time. And, our force has gotten bigger as well. But like anything else, if we do get more subdivisions, can we have more calls? Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no way to combat it. On the fire side, it's how do we recruit, how do we retain, tax breaks again, incentives, increasing. That's more of what we need to look at to try to get that in. And then, yes, we'll still have the calls, but you're going to have more people that can go to the calls. It's not going to be burdening the same people all the time.
Okay. It's going to be obviously more calls and more money.
Yeah.
It's going to be needed. Potentially increased manpower, recruiting, for example, possibly more police officers.
Yeah, over time.
Over time. Yeah, I went to the LVAC dinner the other night, and they've had well over 7,000 calls in the past year. Now they're running 9 ambulances full-time. and they're thinking they may have to go up to 11. So if we want, the head of the LVAC said he'd come in here and talk to us. But again, just trying to put,
I
Yeah.
just, when you're done with that, I'm
Okay.
trying to.
just trying to put, to let the moratorium committee know if they've got any ideas as to any way to deal with this, and if they don't have any ideas, at least let us know for the future planning that they anticipate, and like he said, potentially 2 more ambulances in the not too distant
Yeah.
future.
Are
Absolutely.
they all coming out of the same location?
I think they are. I don't
LVAC
know.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're
LVAC
off
would, just
Walden.
like AMR and things like that. They have a home station.
Yeah, I'm actually right there on
Yeah.
Walden Ave. They were all coming out of that one garage.
Yeah, I was amazed with the numbers. I mean,
But again, it's kind of like our ERs, they're used as primary care now, not true emergencies per se, and it gets overloaded. It's kind of working the same way with our LVAC, is, haven't felt good for a month, then I call LVAC. But there's no way around that, because you have to respond and assess the situation of what's going on.
As far as fire is concerned, the town companies do call in mutual aid, especially during the day. And the village, responds and helps with the fire during the day and when the fire, mutual aid. So maybe it's a plan. I mean, recruitment is difficult. Retention is something we need to look at. I know Mr. Rosler has a good plan for retention that he was talking to me about. So maybe have to tag the fire companies, and when they are already working together, but maybe come up with more of a plan, or if a new development goes in, have them work on a plan to accommodate those new homes.
sounds good. Tom, you were going to
I
say?
was wondering if you had any inkling, any concept of how much of, what percentage of those 7,000 calls are outside of Lancaster, New York, for the Aldens, for their run into Chief?
Yeah, they do run out of there. No, I don't. No, we could get him in here and be very specific about it. I would,
I just think that might be important if what we're talking about is Lancaster residents.
Yep.
And if they want to put on 2 more buses, what of that is dedicated to our folks as opposed to contracts outside of Lancaster? It might be worth knowing.
Okay. Chester said, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, but he would be available to come in here and talk to us and give, maybe he can answer those specifically. I'll send him an email first, see if he can get us numbers, and see if he wants to come in and talk to us.
That would be a good idea.
Well, like Mark said, the more people we have moving into the town, the more of these calls are going to be, right?
Right.
Calls,
Yeah.
they're going to go up. And we do have some that are frivolous, for lack of a better term, right?
Yeah.
But we get more people, we're going to have more calls.
So we got a plan for it. Yeah, more people, more money, more employees. Okay.
And there's really no way to say how many more calls, from the expansion versus what's already here. Because what's already here, we can see the calls going up on its own.
Thank you. Melissa, got anything?
I don't have anything to add. Cindy took care of it very well. Thank you.
And Dawn?
Oh, nothing to add from Green Space.
Okay, thank you. We're, all right, so we're gonna be moving forward into the zoning, into the master plan. And the recommendation was made, we get into the master plan next and say specifically what we're looking in there. And then we amend the zoning as needed to basically get what we're looking for in the master plan. So that should probably be the focus.
I was just going to ask you, I know
Yep.
I think it was last year, we amended the code to allow mailings to go out in I forget what we said we could include.
Town, county only, not school.
What was that?
It was town and county only. And they utilized that this year are you talking about the tax mailings?
Is that what it is? I forget what it was. It was tax mailings?
County tax.
It was tax
We
mailings,
did with the
okay.
dog census.
Right,
Yeah.
for the dog census.
All right. I was just trying to think if we wanted to get questionnaires or anything out to the public, what would be the best efficient way to do that? you know, if you wanted to send a survey out, or you wanted to send.
Yeah, as long as it's one sheet of paper, basically, you could do something like that, but
But that's not gonna go out now.
it's
until-
not everybody though.
Yeah, it's too, I mean, that's not gonna go out now until September.
Even if you send out, if that was an interest, you send out a postcard.
Yeah.
And direct them, even if, make it easy with the barcode, or you could direct them to the survey that you wanted.
Yeah, direct them to the website or something, to a survey on the website, okay.
We
I'm
just
just-
trying to get public input, right? And
Yeah.
We don't have anybody here that had to try to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
But how do we get public input? We talked about doing mailing at one point, and as Tom just said, we can talk about doing mailing now, but we're not gonna get that back until September.
If you do it through the taxes, yeah, that's right.
I think if we announce that we're going to change the zoning, and, you know, this is gonna be the meeting where we're talking about it, I think you're gonna get the public showing up at that point. I hope so anyways.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, give some notifications to the Bee and ask them to publish something that, you know, this is gonna be the meeting where we're gonna get in depth into this, into the zoning, and hopefully we can get some more people to show up.
So
It is-
If we do it, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
If it's successful, and we have 30 people, 40 people, we're not gonna be able to hold it in here, right?
We've used upstairs before, if we have to.
Yes, we've done the Opera House.
We can figure that out.
Yeah. Or this.
These are discussions we've had
Yeah.
already.
you can use-
We should continue that thought process and be prepared to do something like that on the fly if we have to.
We've used the senior center too.
Yes.
So we're gonna get a cost on a study. And again, you know, those of us on that committee dealing with the master plan there, look it over again. I mean, to me, it really wasn't that long ago that this was done. And I think to make some changes in there and bring some things up to date. But if we want to pay for a study to be done, which, you know, once we get
right,
the.
yeah, and I don't think, my gut's telling me you don't want to do a whole new study, you just want updates, review of what's there and looking at areas of, okay, maybe this area needs to be tweaked, this area needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, that sounds more.
Yeah, and then
Sounds better.
from that, you're gonna go to the zoning and you're gonna go to these schedules.
Because we already have a base.
Right, yeah.
Anything else that we need to take care of?
Yes, I'm sorry that I came late, and I'm not sure if we discussed it at all, but I was involved in a conversation with the Lancaster School District, specifically regarding connectivity to their high school location. And based upon their build-out plan in the next 10 years, it was recommended that it's more beneficial to put any pedestrian, bicycle access routes from the general community to these schools through the street system as opposed to cutting through and coming in the southern part of the high school, because again, they have a build-out plan themselves anticipating the future growth of the town. And they didn't incorporate any pedestrian or bike lanes or driveways to take in any traffic from the adjoining communities. So again, it was just recommended that we utilize the street right-of-ways as those areas where we can make connectivity to all the schools in the town. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. They were hesitant to allow walking trails through their fields because in the off-season, it's very difficult to maintain those with snow plowing. And for whoever may or may not use them, because they're of a stance that they're a 100% busing district, there's no need for walkability to the school. But should somebody choose to do it, they can use the right of ways to get there.
Okay, we'd still have to put some sidewalks for the high school onto Pleasant View.
Yeah, specifically for the high school to Pleasant View just getting all of those communities on a sidewalk within those right of ways.
Yeah, but to get them from one development to the other development for other than, well, including school, but for other reasons as well, to make it a little bit safer. Okay.
And I did have a discussion with Gina over at the county, talking about a couple of things, and I asked her specifically about William Street, getting an update on the project, which is moving forward, but they have no plans to put sidewalks by the school over there, which I was a little surprised.
Are they gonna put sidewalks from Transit to,
I think it was Transit to lake.
Panora Lake?
Oh, I know Aurora's for sure, and possibly the lake, I'd have to go back on the website and look.
Okay.
But nothing east of them. 'Cause I was thinking they were gonna go to the school. But it's not the case.
And that's the, again, somebody called me about that.
Yeah.
Called me about that. I talked to Frank Tadaro, and
Yeah.
they're waiting for the state to do.
The state's
know.
working with them on right-of-way, because they have a lot of right-of-way takings they have to work with.
Yes.
through.
Yeah, so they have no updates at this point where it stands, the project stands.
There is a website for the project. They basically said that they've worked through DOT as far as identifying everything, and right now, it sounds like they're working on acquisition of the right-of-ways. And they said they expect to have public meetings this spring, I guess, to lay out their preferred alternative now for where they've ended up. Because they started out with a bunch of different options as far as the road section and bike lanes and sidewalks and, widths and everything else. And now they've got a preferred cross-section of the road, for lack of a better word. And that's what they're working with DOT to identify all those pieces of land they gotta acquire. There's like over 100 parcels of land they have to acquire. Just, little slivers here and there. So that's what DOT was helping them with.
So we gotta find out. I hope they're not looking at bike paths and then, because you're going in so far, and then sidewalks, and then you're
That was the
looking through
problem.
somebody's
It was getting real high.
front window.
Yeah, that
So-
was the problem. So they
Narrowed it down.
Yeah, they're narrowing it down, because the problem is, as soon as you put bike paths in, you gotta have sidewalks on both sides, and it gets wide real fast. So I think my gut tells me the bike paths are probably gone, so they can reduce the width. And then there's the alternative of that is you can put a little bit wider shoulder in to allow for biking,
Okay.
in the cross section.
Very good. Okay, so with this, again, we do the connecting Lancaster and from Juniper to, what's the other development?
Stony Brook.
Brook.
Yeah.
Thank you. If we want the kids to be able to walk to school, it basically would be a sidewalk, no point in putting it back there because they're not too thrilled about us doing that, to the other connection to their fields.
Right, so then it's either going to be go down to Seneca?
Helen?
Site, like Seneca sites. Like
Yeah, it's either go
around
down through Seneca and come out to Central,
Impala.
And walk that way?
walk that way,
Okay.
or go up to Pleasant View and across. I mean, those are going to be your two options. Once you
Okay.
come out on Juniper.
Very good. All right, so we'll set the next meeting shortly when we have some stuff to talk about. We'll take a look at, Ed's going to get us the information about having an update on the study that was already conducted. And I would highly recommend that everybody take a look through our comprehensive master plan, see different areas in there that you think need to be changed. Please highlight them and bring them to, you can bring them to my office's attention. And we'll, in conjunction with the study that's done, we'll make the changes out of the supervisor's office and go from there. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
200 miles today. We got Rochester?
Huh?
Rochester?
No, bad.
Oh, man, it's even worse.
And then rocks, tape, and here, come on.
No easy way to get to Bath.